Well, I thought I'd give you a short tour of my art studio. Here goes. There it is. We're done. Just kidding. Well, not really. I mean, that's my studio right there. But, I'll talk a little bit about a few things that are in here. Got the tabouret right there. I think that's what they're called. Rolling painting desk thingy. Brushes, some pens on there. Picture of my wife and I. She's beautiful. Some inspiration from my dad, and encouragement, and a note. One of my favorite artists here. I don't even know how to pronounce the name, honestly. Naoto Hattori. Love his works. Very beautiful. Had some goals written down. Another amazing painting by Dave Correa. Postcard I got at DesignerCon. This is... good grief, why can I not remember the name of this artist? Anyway, I love his stuff. Got this postcard, I think, at Mary Karnowski Gallery, maybe? Because he had a show there. Beautiful work. It's paint, and he paints in black and white. I always thought he did them in... I thought he always did drawings. You know what? Who is this? Travis Louis, that's it. He, I always thought he did graphite until I actually went to his show and then realized he paints his images. I don't remember where I first got introduced to his art anyway. This is a postcard I got at Cambria on my honeymoon. Oh, I just thought this card was so freaking awesome. Pen work on a thinly sliced piece of wood. Postcard. Handmade postcard. Beautiful work. Some running medals. What is this one? It's the Ocean Beach Half Marathon. Here's my DesignerCon tag. Pasadena Pacers. 10 Mile Club, baby. Anyway. Here's my studio art table. Love this art table. Very old art table. Got it from my grandmother. Computer and another picture of me and wifey. Pens. More pens. Color pencil. One of my favorite mediums. Here's a sketchbook here. A couple sketchbooks. Bible. A great set of watercolors suggested by Jake Parker. Don't even know what the brand name is. It's in freaking Japanese or something. Chinese. I have no idea what language that is. But a really nice set of color pencil, watercolors. Excuse me. Couple sketch pads. I can go through some of that later. I use this old, cheap watercolor. I don't actually use the watercolors. I just use it as a little palette for my good set of watercolors. Here's actually a sheet of all the colors that are in that set, just so I could have a visual of what the color is before I paint with it. Here's a nice little, what do you call it? Carrying case for pencils and pens. Ballpoint pen. And I got my trusty brush pen. Brush pen's something I just recently discovered, like not even too long ago. I think I discovered it through Jake Parker and decided to get one to try some Inktober drawings. Brush pens are freaking amazing. Although there is something to be said. I do love just having like a skinny tip pen that I can just... I like building up line with a lot of lines, if that makes sense. But That's a technique I really like to use. These are amazing because I do love using watercolor, and this is like, you could squeeze the end of this and you get a constant flow of water. It's really nice on the go, for sure. And then just some pencils, a little sharpener. I love these Stedler erasers. I think that's how you pronounce their name. But you can see their logo right there, kind of. Stedler, I think is how you pronounce it. These erase amazingly. But I do love drawing in graphite as well. Actually, I probably prefer drawing in graphite over pen and ink, but I don't know. Yeah, probably. I do love that ink's really dark. I thought about going into charcoal, trying some of that, because I know you get really black blacks with charcoal that you don't get with graphite. I think it's a little more technically difficult to get a handle on it, though. At least I haven't been able to get a handle on it, but I'd like to try again. Try that out. Again, color pencil set. Markers, I don't really use for art too much, but it's kind of nice to have those around. I haven't even really tried these watercolor pencils yet, but I'd probably like them if I tried them, just haven't gotten into it. Sketch paper. These are all just full of different drawings and such. Over here, so this is probably the latest drawing I did, I think. Did it in oil pastels. Really liked it, how it turned out. Would love to do some more of these. These are some examples I pulled out for commission for a friend. I pretty much put all my artwork out and said, hey, what do you like? I'll do something that looks like whatever you pick out. And so I picked a bunch, and so these are the ones he came up with. Do kind of a series of landscapes. Just love doing kind of weird colored landscapes. This is kind of an example of one. Pink mountains. Love drawing interesting characters. Another strange landscape. Actually, this might be the one that kind of got me started anyway. That one was done a while ago. Here's another of those strange landscapes. Kind of a landscape, I guess, but it has these flying characters. Kind of going through the sky, flying clam people or something. There's another character I really like. Bird with human arms. I love doing mashups like that, mixing human and animal. Another strange landscape, alien landscape with some sort of monoliths. Or are they actual creatures? We do not know. Notice the face in the sky? Yes. Here's one I really like. These are all done in color pencil, most of them. Kind of a robotish, kind of a, organic and robotic creature, kind of combined, organic and robot. So it's called Embers on the Move. I was really happy with the way the sky turned out in the background, but done in color pencil as well. There he is, the little ember. He's traveling on his little rocket that he's holding on to. Or maybe he's secured to it by some sort of magnetism, or I don't know. Like I explained in my last video, a lot of my art's just kind of haphazardly drawn, and so I'll just start sketching, and whatever comes out, and that's kind of what came out. And then turned it into a final product by coloring it with colored pencil. There's a drawing I did for my brother and sister-in-law and their family. I colored that, and this is the pencil. I transferred it to another sheet of paper and did the watercolor and colored pencil, colored final image. Here's another strange landscape. These are so fun because I use watercolor to kind of. I put a base of watercolor, and I love the watercolor. Inspires me, the shapes, the blooming, and how the pigment in watercolor travels through the water. It creates shapes, and you see those shapes within it, and those shapes inspire me to then create these shapes. So these shapes are based on kind of what the watercolor was doing on the paper, and within the texture of the paper, and within the pools of water and everything. And so it inspires some pretty fun shapes. It's a fun way to work. I like doing that. This studio tour almost turned into a sketch thing. That's fine, whatever. Sometimes I just do these little sketches that I really like, and I'll take a sketch I did just kind of goofing around, and then I'll take that and I'll transfer this into color, or maybe I'll add a background, a few other characters, and then create more of a finished work in color. That's kind of a fun way I work. I guess, actually, let me explain this piece over here. This piece right here. This one was really fun because it was based on, and I wish I had it handy, there's a drawing, a really quick artist postcard drawing I did. And it was kind of this bird with a man's face and a hat. Well, I took that original little sketch drawing. It wasn't as refined as this, but it inspired me to draw this. So I took that sketch and further refined it, and this is the finished product. One of my proudest works, really. I love this one. Birdman on a Stick is what it's called. Pretty simple name. Pretty much describing what it is. So this is an example of just a funky sketch I did. And I would take this, and I might make some adjustments to it, maybe some of the perspective in the feet needs a little work, like that. This feet maybe needs to be lower, but anyway, I'd make whatever adjustments were necessary, and then I'd take that, transfer it to another piece of paper, and then color it in colored pencil, or maybe I'd do a painting of it. Same here. It's another robotish, but look at the feet, they're very human looking. It's human / robotic. This was another milestone piece for me. Call him Robot Head Man. Just describing what he looks like. Robot Head Man. He was really fun to do, especially all the work in his belly and his shirt and those buttons. That was really fun. Another just like sketching during a meeting at work. And this is something I would take this and, finish it up. He's not finished, but I'd add some more things, maybe put something in his hand, put him in a scene, put him doing something, and then I would take that and draw something to finish it in color, right? Here's another fun character I did. I have an alligator man. Again, the mashups. So here's some. I have this series that I want to do based on my dreams. This is a thumbnail sketch of an actual dream I had, and it was a pretty long dream, and this is actually only one scene from that dream. I think my a lot of my dreams are very cinematic. They're a long story even sometimes. Sometimes I'm able to remember all of that dream, and I'm able to do some sketches and drawings from it. But this is almost like I was going through a desert type scene, and I came across this old peddler, old scruffy man peddler, and he had these two creatures with him that were just freaking scary. They were kind of a combination of like vulture and dog. Like their snouts were doggish, very dog-like. They didn't have like ears, and their skin was very vulture-like. How a vulture's skin on the head, it's just skin, right? They're a gnarly, wrinkly, nasty-looking skin, but it reminded me of the dogs from Resident Evil, I think. How they're kind of like black dogs, but their skin was peeling off, so a lot of their flesh, red flesh, was showing underneath. These birds, or whatever you want to call them, the skin was similar to that, where they were dark. Their skin on their heads and neck were very dark, but there were a lot of patches of just like bright red coming through. Very kind of a freaky combination for skin color, obviously. Here's a sketch that's kind of getting more towards like a finished product. Like this is about something I'd transfer to a board to paint. I'm trying to work out some composition issues, especially with the peddler's tent in the background. A lot of weird tangents, so I was trying to add variety with the direction lines and stuff, but I'm really happy with the way these guys turned out. And it's another reason why I really love working in graphite. Just layering the lines over each other kind of has got that kind of scratchy look. And then in here, like, I'll take my eraser and kind of go back through it. Just, it adds so much cool texture. I love it. But I love how graphite does that. But again, I'm not getting the darks that I would be getting from, like, say, a charcoal. So I have to kind of it's a little difficult, because when you go to paint it, the value scale's different, right? So you actually have to make these darks in here much darker than they actually are here, if that makes sense. You're going lighter and you're going darker, because working in graphite, you don't get the darks and you don't get the lights. It's kind of in between. But anyway, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's some of the drawings I had just laying on. This is my light table that this is laying on. I don't have a proper glass. I don't have a proper plexiglass. I just have this piece of glass I was going to use for a frame, and I just set that on there because I haven't bought the plexiglass yet. I've had this thing since like college, and I haven't put a proper thing on it. But it works pretty good, even with this glass. I have to kind of like, sometimes I have to turn the light bulbs in there to make them work, but that's my light table, and I love it. I use light table all the time to transfer drawings to the final paper. Because I find when I draw something in graphite and then go over it with, say, a watercolor or a color pencil, that graphite, right, is very loose, very smudgy, and it will rub right into the color I'm using and mute it and make it kind of dull. So I usually just transfer it, and then it adds, and then I got a sketch preliminary drawing and a final original work. So I have both, right? So it's like not double the value, but I mean, I have the original concept, like this one, which is, I think I would be able to monetize that, just like I could monetize the final work. So, I don't know. It's like, not like I'm trying to make double the money, but it's kind of nice to see how I was thinking about it in graphite before I actually went to final paint. And honestly, I like preliminary drawings. I like sketches. Just like I was talking about the graphite, there's just something about that graphite doing what it's doing on the paper that I just really like. Like all this, you don't get that as much in paint, right? It's different, but I like it. I like what paint does, but I like what graphite does. So why not keep both? That's my philosophy. In my studio, I guess I could open this up. Let's see what's in here. Yeah, I got my bunch of stored paper. I love working on Bristol board. It's difficult to draw on color pencil on Bristol board because it's so thick. It's usually better to draw with thin paper with color pencil because if you have a thick paper, it kind of is a little cushier, and the colored pencil doesn't. The thin paper on a hard surface makes the colored pencil just work better and transfer to the paper much easier. But I still have drawn on Bristol board with color pencil. It's not too bad of an issue. It's a little harder on your hand because you got to press harder sometimes. So usually it's just better to do it in paper, and I've been kind of moving in that direction just because it's easier on my hand. So I got some transfer paper in there, Bristol board. I got some MDF boards that I painted to paint on. So that's Home Depot. The 3 stores I love most: hardware stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, an art supply store. And good gosh, I feel like there's another one for artists. Anyway, I don't remember. So up here I got a lot of supplies like cutting materials. I have a Logan mat cutter, which has been really handy. It's kind of hard to use because it's kind of loosey-goosey. It's basically a ruler with a sliding edge for that blade, but if you kind of get good at it, you can cut your own mats with a beveled edge. It's really nice. A lot of this stuff is just hanging devices and things for hanging works of art. So not too much in here. Just some drawing books up there. Rendering and Pen and Ink, that's a good one. Andrew Loomis. Yeah. Modern Primitives. Now this is a book. This was inspiring to me. Now this is, oh crap, can't even get it out. So this, I discovered these guys just last year, and it really resonated with me. Because I feel like I kind of paint that way. It's funny, I kind of like that halfway between like realistic and primitive. Like I think that's why I like religious icons so much, because they're kind of primitive. Let me get to the good stuff here. This is sliding down my desk. Let's see if I can. I love how they kind of mess with perspective. Like, that is horrible perspective, but there's something just really attractive about that. All the color and just all those little leaves and stuff are just so cool. It reminds me of oh shoot, what's her name? That old lady who would paint. Shoot. Mother something, Mother Jones. Is that it? Mother Jones? I think it's Mother Jones. Let me get to some of my favorites over here. Yeah, but that combination of like using the human form, using perspective, but it's all kind of not quite right. But at the same time, this is one of my favorite guys right here. Please focus. Ivan Lokovic. I think he's the one that did the cover art. Maybe. I feel like I'm trying to do every YouTube video that I would ever imagine doing in one video, which was not my intent, but hey, my studio's not that big, so why not? Even though this video is already getting pretty long. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's primitive. The faces aren't exactly like perfect proportion. That guy's looks like his head is like way too big for his eyes and nose and mouth. But there's something really fun about that. I don't know. It just really resonates with me for some reason. And I feel very inspired by these guys. And I think they kind of come out of like Eastern Europe or Czech Republic or something like that. I'm trying to find some of my favorites, but it's hard to hold my phone and show you this stuff at the same time. I mean, everybody knows that's what a lion looks like, right? That's what I love about them. Maybe they haven't studied what lions look like or whatever, but they just do what they can with what they have and they just go for it. Love it. Like, there's something really beautiful about this. And you know, like, some of the trees and bushes back here, like that tree, that red one right in the middle, is so detailed for how far away it is. And it's just as detailed as some of these branches that are right over your head. So they don't use perspective well. And I don't know if they're doing it intentionally or if they're just... I think a lot of them are self-taught artists. So maybe they aren't doing it intentionally, but... I mean, see, the grass here is just as detailed, and the size of the leaves and everything are the same as the grass back there. When, you know, in proper perspective, everything should be more detailed here and larger, and as you move back, it should get smaller. Well, I mean, I guess some of these are getting a little smaller, but, you know, all that is very detailed, all the same, from the front all the way to the back. But it's still like just a beautiful painting. Like, I don't know, just love that. And they're just going for it. Yeah, modern primitives. Beautiful work. So that back there is a piece I did in college. That represents doing an all-nighter. That is a project I did in one night. Well, not the whole... I mean, this was a project where we took a 2x4 and we were to dismantle it somehow, however we wanted, and reassemble it. We couldn't discard any of the pieces we cut or removed. Everything had to be used. So that right there, minus the sawdust and the sanding I did, is an entire 2x4x8. And it's probably like it's probably, I sanded that thing. Every piece on there is, the edges are sanded, so there's a lot of sanding that went into this, and a lot of cutting. I cut a lot. Basically, I chopped the crap out of this 2x4, cutting it every which way, and then just took all the pieces and tried to make something cool out of it. So I cut it, assembled it, glued it together, nailed it together, screwed it together however I could, and so all the assembly of it was done, but it wasn't finished. And the next morning was going to be go time to turn it in. So the entire night, the painting job is what the all-nighter was. And it was fun. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that. Just like, you're so energized by the process of what you're doing and so hyped up about it that you don't even feel tired and you're just going and you're just like, this is so much fun. That's one of my favorite areas right there. Did some spray painting, it's another fun area on the blue there. Dripping stuff all over the place. That's a fun area right there. The drips on top of that spray paint. That's a fun area right there. That was a real fun one to do. I was just going crazy. Got my Jackson Pollock on. It's kind of fun dripping, dripping not on just a flat canvas, but on a three-dimensional surface where the drips go down and pool up and almost rivers of drips coming down on top of a finely spray painted thing. It's really fun. But that represents a moment in my college, university experience. Really fun memory, really, is what that represents. That's it. I guess I'm done. This video's gone a long time. I can't believe I've talked for that long. That's it. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, or maybe I'm missing something. Anyway, have a good night.